Welcome back to Local 3 News. We're speaking with Jeff Olson as we are about 10 minutes away from sharing with you a very personal story, the documentary Do It for Daniel, which was created to celebrate the life of Daniel Olson and open dialogue about mental health and suicide awareness. Jeff, if you would please continue to share with our audience what they should know.
Yeah, right after Daniel passed away, we decided that we were going to put it out in the open and try to educate people. But if we were going to educate people, we had to educate ourselves first. And one of the things that we found out was 90% of suicides are completed by someone with a non-treated or an undertreated mental illness. So we say 90%. So if we want to eliminate suicides, which is one of the big reasons why we're doing it, if we want to decrease suicides, we have to treat the source. The source is the mental illness. The source is the anxiety and depression. But you can't treat that source if people hide it and people don't come forward, and when they do come forward, aren't able to explain exactly what's going on with them. One of the things with this illness is you can't take an x-ray to see if you have it. You can't take a blood test to see if you have it. You can't take your temperature. You have to be able to speak out. And you have to be able to tell what you're feeling, what you're thinking, or maybe what you're planning. People don't like to do that because they don't understand what they're going through, so we want to create that understanding. We also found out it's very treatable. Treatable through medication, treatable through counseling, self-help techniques you can do, relaxation, meditation techniques. Some people say diet and exercise. But the medication part is you have to have patience. Because sometimes if you're brave enough to come forward and ask for help and they prescribe a medication, it doesn't work. And so many people quit after that because they feel like they're alone. But you would do that with any other illness. And I always revert back to me. A year and a half ago, I was jogging and I hurt my knee. So I went to our trainer for our football team. He says, yeah, I think you slightly tore your meniscus. Give it 2 or 3 weeks and you should be good. I waited 4 weeks and I still had pain. So I went back. I went to the doctor this time. They said, yeah, you tore your meniscus, let's do a cortisone shot and you should be good. I did that. I waited a month or 2, I still had pain. I still went back. He said, you know what, let's do minor surgery and clean it up a little bit and that should take care of it. I did that, I waited 2 months, I still had pain. I went back, they tried another cortisone shot, that should help. I waited 2 more months, I still had pain, I went back. I did a partial knee replacement and I'm pain-free. My point with all that is I kept going back. You know, something didn't work, I kept going back. That didn't work, I kept going back because I had this physical pain. Well, people with this mental pain, and that's affecting their thoughts and their feelings, a lot of them don't go back. And they try one thing, but you would with any other illness like mine or injury with my knee, I kept going back. So that's one thing. You have to keep going back and say, you know what, I don't think it worked. This is the way I'm feeling, because there's so many other kinds of medications out there to help people. Counseling is huge. Daniel didn't do counseling very well. He did for the first 6 months. He had a great counselor and he would open up to and able to say everything that's going on. But then that person moved away and he couldn't find another one that he felt confident enough to tell everything that was going on. And that's another thing. You have to find somebody that you're comfortable with to be able to speak up and say what you're feeling. That way the professionals can help you. I was helping a person that I didn't know. They reached out to me and I was getting to know this person, and then all of a sudden they started to tell me everything. Tell me how they've been feeling, how, you know, what their thoughts were, what they were planning to do. And I said, finally I said, have you seen a doctor? And they said, yeah, I did, but it didn't help, so I quit. I said, did you tell the doctor everything you just told me? And they said, no. I said, well, why not? Their response was, I know you understand what I'm going through. So how are you, or is anybody ever going to be able to get help if they don't feel confident enough, or they feel so alone and ashamed that they're not telling a professional everything that they're going through? So we have to get all the symptoms out in the open, just like the symptoms of the flu, where you can say those very easily, people understand it, and people have compassion for it. Unfortunately, 2 weeks before Daniel passed away, the doctor brought my wife and I in and said, you might want to start preparing yourself. Because Daniel quit talking. And he got so frustrated, she says, I can't help him anymore because he's not telling me what he's feeling, what he's thinking, what his symptoms are, and that's what happens to so many people. So you have to be open, you have to talk, otherwise people can't help you. So I always say this with our presentation and coming forward, what we're trying to do is we're trying to create a 2-lane highway. Because so many people that are struggling, they feel like they're going down this dead-end road and there's going to be no good outcome. So when you're going down that dead-end road, you can turn around and go on a different road, and that's a different direction. That's the direction of mental health. And when you're going down that road, you can get off that road and get help. First exit might be a medication exit, where you can get off that road of mental illness, anxiety and depression, get help through medication. Farther down, another exit, get off, get help through counseling. Even more exits for relaxation, meditation techniques. Those things slow your brain down, let it rest and let it heal. And some people say another exit for diet and exercise can help also. The good news is, since we started doing this, there's been so many success stories, and I know everywhere I go, actually the first time I did this presentation, I know a teenager brought her mother, went out in the parking lot, fell into her mother's arms and said, "That's me. I'm Daniel, I need help." There's been so many other people that have been able to resonate with this, that whether they use Daniel as an icebreaker and say, "I have the same things he's struggling with. That's me, I need help." And there's been so many people that have gotten help through this that makes this all worthwhile. I was doing this presentation once at a local school in an auditorium, and people, after it was over, people were lined up waiting to talk to me. And there was a 16-year-old boy at the end, and after everybody was done, it was just me and him in the auditorium, and he just stared at me, and he didn't say a word. And finally I broke the ice. I said, "Are you struggling?" And he buried his head in my shoulder, and he said, "I just realized that today. Finally somebody put a name to what I'm struggling with. Finally somebody understands what I'm struggling with." He went home, he told his parents. They got him help the next day. They came to one of my presentations 2 months later. They had to drive to find out exactly what their son was going through, to learn better, but to let me know that they got him help and he was doing a lot better. I've had people come to me that we were able to point them in the right direction to get them help. I've had people post on Facebook, "This depression I'm suffering from is really getting to me today," and I thought that was pretty cool, because not only are they not hiding it, they're telling the world that they're suffering from depression. But I even seen this before on somebody that's seen my presentation. Posted on Facebook, "This depression I'm suffering from is really getting to me today, and I'm going to check myself in the hospital." So not only were they telling the world they're suffering from depression, they're telling the world they're going to get admitted to psychiatric ward, the brain unit, and taking all the stigma away. And I even had, at least one come to me and say, "You know what? If you wouldn't have understood, and if you wouldn't have helped me understand, I wouldn't be alive right now." So that's why we do this. So everybody understands, not just the people suffering, but their friends, their loved ones. I've had people come to me and say, "Coach, can you come to my school and tell my friends what I'm going through?" I've had a number of people come to me and say, "Coach, I need help, but my parents don't understand. They don't think this is real, they don't understand it, and they don't end up getting help." So that's why we do this, so everybody understands that this is a very common medical illness that's very treatable. And I always end with this one last thing, and this is the most important thing to me, and that's be kind. Be kind to everybody, please, because you don't know what people are suffering from in silence.
Very powerful. Thank you, Jeff. And we need to take one more break, and then we are less than 5 minutes away from the broadcast premiere of Do It for Daniel.